Let me be very clear. The policy of strategic patience has ended. All options are on the table.
The White House is becoming more direct about its game plan for North Korea, which ranks high on Trump's list of security threats.
Obviously, North Korea is a big problem.
But how big is North Korea's nuclear stockpile? The truth is, nobody really knows for sure. It's estimated that North Korea has fewer than 10 nuclear weapons, but with enough uranium to build more. Despite sanctions, North Korea has stepped up its nuclear game for its own protection, and it's been pretty open about it. It conducted underground nuclear tests 5 times during the past decade. 2 of them were in 2016. The country is also developing missiles that are harder to detect and could carry nuclear weapons. Earlier this year, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un said he was ready to test fire its biggest missile yet. Since then, state media has widely covered missile tests.
우리 시기의 새로운 전략무기 체계인 지상대 지상 중장거리 전략 탄도탄 북극성 이용 시험 발사가 저체 106 2017년 2월 12일 성공적으로 진행됐습니다.
So what's Trump's next move?
We better get really tough, really smart, really vigilant, or we're going to have a problem. We better stop playing games.
There are a few options. For one, the U.S. could continue to play the defensive.
Any use of nuclear weapons would be met with a response that would be effective and overwhelming.
The U.S.'s recent deployment of an anti-missile system to South Korea is a clearly defensive move. Beefing up U.S. presence in the region might be enough to deter a nuclear attack. Or things might still escalate.
I don't think that the North Koreans would use nuclear weapons for any purpose other than stopping an invasion. There's every chance that in a crisis where the North Koreans feel an enormous amount of pressure to use those nuclear weapons before we have a chance to hit them, that if you say the wrong thing or send the wrong signal, that they'll get the wrong idea, and then you end up with a nuclear war that you might have been able to avoid.
The U.S. has made it clear preemptive strike is a possibility if North Korea elevates the threat of its nuclear weapons. It's unclear who the strike would target: nuclear reactors, military bases, or, as Trump once suggested, the country's leadership.
I would get China to make that guy disappear in one form or another very quickly. And let me tell you, people say,
how do you make him disappear and assassinate him?
Let me just tell you, no, well, I've heard of worse things, frankly.
Since then, Trump has dialed back the rhetoric, but one thing he has been adamant about is the role China should play, which takes us to the next option: pressure.
China has to solve the North Korea problem.
China is North Korea's largest trading partner, so it carries economic weight. But experts say China's political influence over North Korea is overstated. Trump's next option is to negotiate with North Korea, which is unlikely.
The problem with negotiations right now is that the expectations of the two sides have changed so dramatically. I think in the United States, we still expect them to give up their nuclear weapons, which was a reasonable thing to want when they had no nuclear weapons, and so really all we were asking them to do was to promise not to build any, and then it was still kind of a reasonable thing when they had only a few. But I think now for the North Koreans, that's really hard to imagine.
That's very similar to what happened in fall 2015, when Pyongyang proposed peace talks with the U.S., but wouldn't put its nuclear program on the table. So unless expectations shift, things will just be business as usual. Sanctions, building up defenses, and hoping for the best.